Wagwan everybody! Many people, myself included, admire GTA 4's story and appreciate it for its unique, dark and sad narrative. Usually in GTA it's all shining and in the end everything ends pretty well. GTA 4 is an exception to that. And even though in my opinion the story of GTA 4 at some point kind of loses its purpose, which I'll elaborate on later in the video, once we get to the ending, we'll see how all that Niko went through was just a setup for this brilliantly designed choice at the end. Today, I'll tell you why I admire GTA 4's ending so much. What makes it so emotional and such a tricky decision? First, as usual, I'm gonna go through all the facts important to know before taking up this topic, but if you think you know it well enough, then you can skip to the next chapter on the video's timeline. So the ending in GTA 4 is initiated when Jimmy Pegorino, the don of the local mafia family, cut a deal with the Russian gangsters led by Dmitri Rascalov. Jimmy would sell a large quantity of heroin to a certain buyer, and the Russians were meant to be the mediators. This deal was meant to put him in favor with the so-called commission. The commission consisted of 5 of the strongest mafia families, and their role was to solve any problems or conflicts that arise between the families. Jimmy wanted to put his family into the commission since it meant better reputation, more respect and a significant influence on the criminal ongoings in the city. The deal with the Russians was meant to put the Pegorino family in favor with the strongest mafia families in the commission, which was meant to allow the Pegorinos to take someone else's place in the commission. Pegorino then asks Niko to see the deal through. Niko, however, is very reluctant to do it since he's got a serious beef with Dmitri, who at some point set him up and was trying to hunt him down ever since. Niko eventually initially agrees to Pegorino, but soon another option appears on the table. Niko accidentally finds out from Roman that Dmitri is currently on the container ship in the docks, so a player can choose whether to go kill Dmitri or to work with him for Pegorino. If a player chooses to cap Dmitri, then Pegorino gets angry and attempts to kill Niko at Roman's wedding. However, it turns out he's a horrible shooter and his bullets hit Katie instead, who was a woman with whom Niko got very close, and it seemed like pretty soon they would become an official couple. Niko then gets pissed off, goes to the abandoned casino in North Alderney and eventually kills Pegorino. If a player chooses to work with Dmitri though, once Niko arrives to collect the payment, it turns out that Dmitri decided that a fair transaction is a bit boring, so he decided to thief the food for himself and Niko had to shoot up the whole team of the buyer's soldiers and get the money by force. But he managed to do it, so no big deal. Everybody got what they wanted in the end. Well, maybe apart from the buyer guys, but who cares about them? Both the Russians, Pegorino and Niko were happy. Well, actually either the Russians, Pegorino and Niko were happy. Or at least it seemed like it, cause at Roman's wedding, Dmitri sent one of his goons to kill Niko. Why? Oh, you know, just cause he was a revenge-chased asshole that just couldn't let things go. Niko, however, dealt with the hitman, but during the encounter, the hitman's gun fired and accidentally shot Roman dead. Niko then tracks Dmitri down, witnesses him killing Pegorino, and then Niko kills Dmitri as well. Now let's try to settle on which option is better. Now obviously knowing both endings, we can clearly see that the revenge ending is probably a happier ending. But I mean, like, let's try to put ourselves in Niko's shoes here and think about what choice we'd make. So again, Niko got 2 options. Either to agree to see the deal through, earn a lot of money, but do it with his biggest foe. Or go to the ship and kill Dmitri, thereby not only to get his revenge on him, but also to make people close to him safer. I mean, not completely, cause if Niko kills Dmitri, then Pegorino's gonna get angry and then Niko's family's gonna be endangered by the mafia. Additionally, he's going to miss out on a life-changing money that was especially important at the time. Obviously, because someone had to pay for Roman's honeymoon, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just good to have money in it. Plus, Niko wouldn't even have to interact with Dmitri, so basically it was just a matter of collecting the money and he could go home. Furthermore, if Niko agreed to work with Dmitri, it seems as if their past would be forgotten, which also meant that he would get rid of his biggest enemy. Pegorino would be happy, Dmitri should be satisfied, Niko would make a lot of paper, and Roman would have a lovely honeymoon. Or he could turn his back on Peg, go and get Dmitri what he had coming to him, therefore ultimately putting his past demons to bed. However, this meant meeting new demons in the shape of Pegorino's family, who ain't gonna be too happy with Niko's decision. At first, the deal option simply seems better, if not for a couple of important factors. First of all, Dmitri was one backstabbing piece of ish. He set up his best friend Faustin, then he exposed poor Niko to the psychopath Pegorino. It was pretty predictable that he may be about to pull off some stunt again. What I mean is that there was a certain risk that Dmitri's gonna play dirty. Another thing is that Katie, so like I said before, a woman whom Niko loved, clearly let Niko know that if he agrees to that deal, she would lose respect for him, cause she didn't like the fact that Niko would just throw his moral code into the bin and agree to a partnership with his sworn enemy, who done a lot of bad things to him throughout the story.
Hey Kate, I have a decision to make, and I don't know who to talk to about it.
What's your choice, Niko?
There is a man who betrayed me in the past. I am being asked to work with him. It could be very profitable, but it would mean going back on an oath I swore to myself.
You shouldn't work with him, Niko. You don't need money. What is it going to change about your life?
I don't know. It'll make things easier for me and for Roman.
I'm not going to respect you if you compromise what you believe in for money, Niko. Goodbye.
So in my opinion, business-wise, the deal option seems better. Niko get rid of his enemies and will earn bare money. But first, there is a risk that Dmitri will stir something up again. Second, he would have to ignore his morality as he goes to work with someone who hurt him bad. And third, because of this, a potential woman of his life is going to lose respect for him, which would basically kill any chance of the two becoming a couple, which Niko really needed and wanted. So for me, Niko should choose the revenge option anyway, although on the other hand, the deal option is pretty tempting too. This is actually a very interesting operation by Rockstar, because it's not even that one choice is better than the other. It really depends on the individual. Some people may rate financial stability and stronger sense of security in life over love, and then people will likely choose the deal option. Others who value love over everything will likely go for the second option. Some may say that guying for love in this scenario don't make sense, cause even if Niko and Katie will get together, he puts her in danger cause he stands up to Pegorinos. And that's actually what happens later cause Pegorino kills Katie. Even though accidentally, it still was to be expected that Peg will want to get revenge on Niko by hurting people close to him. That makes the debate a lot more interesting, as both parties may use different arguments to support their choice, and both the choices will be valid as it just really is a preference thing. Let's take a moment and talk about why GTA 4's story and the ending is so unique and how it differs from the majority of the other GTA games. In GTA 4, Rockstar wanted to portray a different narrative. In almost every other GTA, the protagonist is going through some problems, but in the end, it's from zero to hero narrative. There are some bittersweet endings, but in general, they feel like they're happy nonetheless. In GTA 4, Rockstar broke this tendency and decided to make the story dark and sad. And that's why both endings, even despite one of them being technically the happy one, both of them are still sad and painful, because in both of them we'll lose someone we love. It's a bit similar in GTA TLAD, where again, despite dealing with some of our major problems, we lose Jim and our chapter falls apart. Another thing that makes GTA 4's ending brilliant is what I said at the start, so how the whole story is built to set it up. You could say that the developers designed the whole GTA 4 story around the ending, and they've done it very well indeed. It's all about the characters involved in it. The game builds our emotions towards certain characters to then in the end give us a proper headache in choosing whose advice we want to take and who we want to make happy more, as well as who we hate more. I'm talking about Pegorino, Dmitri, Roman and Katie. The game portrays Roman to us as someone who's always there for us. Maybe he is a bit reckless, but he's someone who we can trust completely. He will never set us up and is the same in the other direction. A friend through twists and turns who Niko wants to make happy and who wants Niko to be happy. Then we've got Kate, who despite not being as close to Niko as Roman, she offers something different than Roman. She is potentially someone who will genuinely make Niko happy and give his life a meaning. A motivation for Niko to get out of the criminal underworld and start a normal life. We've got Pegorino, who we see as just Nick's employer. Niko don't have any emotional bond with him, but he does respect him as his organization is a real deal. And then we've got Rascalov, whom Niko simply hates. He tries to kill us, goes after our family, and is known for betraying people. So the game divides this decision into two sections. Let's call the first one the business section with Dmitri and Peg, which is about how our decision will influence our safety and our relations with the gangs, as well as the financial gains. And the second is the emotional section, which is about who means more to Niko, and as well the moral question whether Niko should go work with his enemy. And then, right before we make our call, the game puts all the pieces together again. Niko receives advice from Roman and Katie. Quite opposite advice with each, which makes the choice even harder and less compromising. Katie tells us that money isn't more important than Niko's moral code, and he definitely should not agree to work with Dmitri. She also lets him know that if he does it, she won't respect him anymore. Roman, however, don't care about this whole beef with Dmitri and Niko's moral code. He just wants peace so he can happily live with McReary and as well make additional money. However, with Roman, we've got bigger freedom since he'll be cool with Niko choosing to kill Dmitri, and that won't change his relationship with him one bit. Yet another thing, right before the ending, the game gives us another decision to make. Darko Brevic, a man who once betrayed Niko's friends, which significantly traumatized Niko, who started questioning whether he can ever be a normal person again, is finally at his knees. We wanted to find him for a long time, and now it's up to him if he wants to kill him or not. This is important because after killing Darko, Niko feels empty. The revenge did not make him feel any better, which soon also gives the player a hint that maybe exacting revenge on Dmitri isn't gonna make things better either. That sometimes in life you gotta let some things go and move on. Be able to live with the pain, cause revenge ain't never gonna heal it. I find it simply incredible how Rockstar built everything around the ending, and then right before it they put all the cards in front of us, making this decision a complicated headache, additionally not giving us any compromises. If we choose to keep one thing, we lose something else. If we choose money and safety, we lose Katie. If we choose love, we lose safety, which can then lead to losing love. I'll also just quickly point out how the game first checks with which character we sympathize more by seeing whose advice we take, Roman's or Katie's. And then the game is going to take away the person that we agreed with, which makes it even worse and makes this ending more universal, as it's gonna hurt everyone, no matter if they like Katie more or Roman. For me, it's simply genius. Another thing worth pointing out is that Rockstar also shows us how much the criminal world is a lottery. A lot of things is by a work of chance, due to the lack of any rules, since criminals are by definition people who break the rules. Because notice how both Roman and Katie die by a complete accident. In both cases, Niko was the target of the assassin. This shows that in such dangerous environments, the margins are very thin and often innocent people can get hit by a ricochet. It was done in such a way to make it even more tragic, because now Niko has to live for the rest of his life aware of the fact that a person he loved, a person who was completely innocent, lost their life because of his decision, and it's all his fault. Niko knows it. He even says it to Roman in a post-mission phone call.
Hey Niko, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. How's married life?
It's okay. Hard to be happy when your wedding goes the way ours did. Kate's death was very unfortunate. Niko, don't blame yourself.
There's no one else to blame, Roman. It's my fault, because I refused to do that deal for Pegorino. It's my fault because I got close to her. I shouldn't get close to anyone.
If Niko died, he wouldn't have to suffer by living with the fact that he caused his loved one's death. Another thing that is brilliantly shown by the whole story of GTA 4 is the fact that achieving success via robbing and killing is very risky, but then it's possible and the reward is high. But almost always, along the way, we'll have to sacrifice many things and we'll lose some things, often to a point where once we get to the top, we realize that the price we paid along the way is bigger than the reward we strived for. It's funny how all these critics who say that films or games about gangsters are bad and give a bad example, and meanwhile all they actually want to show us is why this game isn't worth it. I like to mention the Top Boy series in my episodes, and today I've also got one moment for you.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't fucking know anymore, son. All this shit, Everything we're doing, is it worth it? Ever since we were kids, bruv. Together, running up and down these streets. Trying to get to the top. What for? Is it worth losing your people? Family?
Just like in GTA 4, the creators show us that this game isn't worth it. It only may look so easy, but in reality it's constant pressure, constant losses and sacrifices. I said at the beginning that in my opinion the story of GTA 4 loses purpose at some point. And for me it is like that. After Roman's Sorrow mission, I feel like it becomes just a matter of doing jobs for gangsters over and over again. I know that we technically strive towards finding Darko, but it was never enough for me. However, once we get to the ending, it's being exposed to us how all that we've been through with Niko was just a long and complex setup for that one final decision. The decision that touches many moral issues that may vary from person to person. Someone may value love over money, and someone else may value money and security over love. Some may not let things go so easily, while others are more likely to forget. To summarize, the GTA 4 ending touches many moral issues, throws many elements into the equation, and gives us a decision with no wrong or correct answers, where whatever we choose, we lose. It shows the harsh reality of life, that sometimes there is no way out, sometimes life isn't fair. It's a unique story, and even though it slows down at some point and may become a bit monotonous, it's still a work of art, and I hope that today I made you understand why. Let me know if you agree or if I forgot to mention anything. Thank you for watching. Respect.